My name is Ron Graziano, and I primarily focus on helping companies scale their business. I do this from my personal experience. In 2000, I started my first company. In year one, we had $30,000 in annual gross sales. By year four, we hit $1.3 million in annual gross sales. We sustained at about 1.7 until we sold the business in 2011. If you're an entrepreneur and you're starting a business, you're trying to scale it, you're trying to get bigger past where you are, this is the place to be. Today, we're going to speak specifically about one of the challenges that I found most people seem to have when they are struggling with scaling their business. And the main thing that I see people struggling with when they're struggling with scaling their business is the ability to actually grow the business. Now, what does that mean? They're struggling with growing the business because they're stuck in an employee mindset. So here's the deal. If you're joining me today because you feel like you're stuck in an employee mindset, you're trying to run your business, but you're continuing to use behaviors and practices that you did when you were an employee, then this is a good place for you to be. Now, we're going to talk about leadership because running a company as an entrepreneur, even if you're just managing yourself, requires a great amount of leadership. And there's nobody better to talk about leadership than to use the Maxwell method. I realized that people were going to behave in a specific way. And just like most entrepreneurs, we get stuck because we think everybody's going to act and behave the same exact way we act and behave. And to be honest with you, that's not the way it's going to be. Nobody's going to care about your business more than you, and nobody should care about your business more than you. One of the things I learned was first, I needed to model the behavior that I expected from my employees, and I needed to do that with a great amount of discipline, and I needed to do that with a great amount of consistency. The myth is that once I become the boss, I can do whatever I want. That's not the truth. In the service industry, you are responsible to every single client that you have, every single customer you have. You are responsible to every single employee you have. You are responsible to every single vendor that you do business with, anybody supplying you resources and tools to do your business. All right, let's jump right into the leadership thing and understand that struggling with leadership is a very common struggle for people who have transitioned or are trying to transition from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. Now, listen, just because you incorporate your business does not mean you suddenly become this great person. So, we're going to talk about leadership really quick. I learned from the greatest leadership engine in the world. I learned about leadership while I was on active duty with the United States Army. Now, what does that mean? That means I didn't just show up an amazing leader. Everything rises and falls on leadership. We're going to talk about what that means exactly. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. The highest form of leadership is self leadership. Listen, if you started a company and quit your job because you didn't have a great amount of discipline and you couldn't even lead yourself to be at work on time, do what needed to be done, do the difficult things, entrepreneurship is probably not for you. But if you're relying on somebody else to tell you to do the things you have to do every day, then maybe being an employee is the right place for you. Number four, the greatest purpose of leadership is adding value to others. Number one is all about all things rise and fall on leadership. When I first started learning about leadership, people are going to watch every single thing that you do. And when you set the standard for what needs to be done in your business, even if you're applying the standard to yourself. Now, some people may say, I don't need leadership. It's just me. I'm a solopreneur. I'm not going to have any employees. I'm just going to be my own boss. I'm going to run my company all by myself. Chances are, if you're successful, you will have to scale the company at some point. And most entrepreneurs think that they can't afford to add employees. That's not true. You can't afford not to add employees because a CEO thinks, how can I get other people to do more of the work so I can multiply? An entrepreneur thinks, I'm going to do everything myself. I'm going to keep all the money for myself. I'm not going to pay anybody. And I'm going to do all the hard work and I'm going to get all the reward. I took all the risk. I'm going to get all the reward. A CEO looks at things and says, wait a second, I can scale and grow. And if I'm doing one, I can do 1.5, I can do two, I can do three, I can do six. They scale and they compound consistency and they grow the company by adding value to others by affording them opportunities to work. That's going to take leadership. And leadership requires you to have integrity. And integrity requires you to understand that all the things you're doing, everyone is watching. The rule we normally use in leadership is the 80% rule. What is the 80% rule? The 80% rule is I need other people to be able to do the things I was doing as the entrepreneur, not the employee, because as the initial entrepreneur, I am my own employee. But I need to get other people to be able to do the things that I am doing at least 80% as well as I can do them. And then I have to set the standard and I have to follow. So all things rise and fall on leadership. I was lucky enough that for 11.5 years of active duty service, I worked in a leadership role and I learned from the world's leaders, the best leaders. I received the best possible leadership training there possibly can be. But here's one hitch. In the military, people don't just get to quit you if you're a bad leader. The impact of your poor leadership will result in the team's performance. And in the military, we get evaluations. And your evaluation is worth promotional points. And those promotional points determine whether or not you move up to the next level in grade, which means you next level of pay. Now, a lot of people don't know that about leadership, I guess. They don't understand about the military if they've never been in the military. And I guess they think that people in the military, we just get rank on our collar and we just run around bossing people around. But that's not the way it works. But the hitch is that if you're a really poor leader, you're just not going to get advanced or promoted to the next promotion, which means you're not going to make more money. So it affects your lifestyle. People are not going to quit. They can't quit. In the military, we used to have a term for poor leaders, and the followers fired the leader without them even knowing it. And I learned about this when I worked in corporate America, that I started finding managers who were struggling with managing people. They were struggling with their leadership style. And the employee was still coming to work every day, but they had already fired the boss. Raise your hand. I was fired. Even though the employees were continuing work, if you've ever been fired by your employees as the leader because production went way down, you just could not get people to do the work. All right, let's go back to that slide and talk a little bit more about leadership as influence. Nothing more, nothing less. One of the things I learned about having to be a leader and having to be an entrepreneur, was different from an employee mindset, is I have to get the work done through the effort of other people. See, most people in an employee mindset, and we're going to talk exactly what that looks like, get stuck. The highest form of leadership is self-leadership. And the greatest purpose of leadership is adding values to others. When I heard the first time Jeff Henderson say, in What Are You Known For? Are you using people to grow your business, or you're using your business to grow people? That's the first time I knew and realized that maybe there's another way to do it. Moving with purpose. Self-leadership from a CEO, an entrepreneur to leadership. This is all about mindset. Let's talk about mindset. Culture is created. Live what you expect. Culture is created. You get to create the culture. If you're struggling and growing your business because you've already started to add employees and you're wondering, why do they not see the vision that you have? Maybe it's because you're not repeating the vision. CEOs repeat the vision and they create a culture. They create that culture by design. Most entrepreneurs end up with a culture by default. Identify and protect your priorities. What are your priorities? Protect them. Who are you protecting your priorities from? You're protecting your priorities from all the other outside influencers, and you're protecting them from a scarcity mindset. If you believe in your product and you went through all the effort to develop and you took the innovative skill that you had to build this great company, why would you allow other people to convince you to do it differently? Because you get stuck in a scarcity mindset and you're still stuck in an employee mindset. You're stuck in the employee mindset that I'm going to let other people tell me what to do because I have to make all of them happy. As an entrepreneur, you should be meeting and exceeding expectations. Sometimes that's not going to be about making people happy. As an entrepreneur, and when you start using leadership, you're going to make difficult decisions. And if you go to sleep every night with a little piece of paper on how many likes I had for the day, you're probably going to struggle. All right, identify those priorities. Spend time with the people you are aligned with. As an employee, the goals and aspirations of employees are very different from entrepreneurs. And as your business grows and you shift to an entrepreneur mindset, the conversation of entrepreneurs is very different than the conversation of employees. Now, I'm sure if you're a brand new entrepreneur and maybe you've been doing this for 6 months, 8 months, a year, or maybe even you started hearing it from your friends while you were an employee because you started out with a side hustle, you started out with a side job, and your side job started becoming more successful. Now, you probably started a side business because the same reason that I started a side business. I wanted more money. Why do I want more money? Because I wanted more of the things that I didn't have, because I wanted to improve my lifestyle. So I had to lead myself. When I'm leading myself, I had to understand the importance of aligning myself with other people that were like me. Because when I was doing my side hustle, all of my employee friends said, "What are you doing this weekend?" I said, "Hey, I'm working on this business. I'm going to do this thing." "What do you mean? You already have a job. Why do you have a second job?" I said, "I don't have a second job. I have a business that I'm building." If you're struggling with how are you going to break out of the employee mindset, you need to start surrounding yourself with other people who are in alignment with understanding the struggles of what it means to be an entrepreneur. Because an entrepreneur's mind works very differently from an employee mind. Know your role, live your role, get out of the way. What does this look like? Knowing your role and living your role and get out of the way is all about breaking the chains that were holding you back as an employee. Because how many times as an employee have you wanted to do more? You felt like you can do more, and you were constantly told, no, you're just not ready yet for that next promotion. How many of you worked harder and harder and your goals kept going up and going up at work? Your evaluation continued adding more and more, and you were getting rewarded the same way the person who was doing half of what you were doing is getting paid. That's probably one of the reasons why you broke out of an employee mindset. The biggest struggle that you're going to have as an entrepreneur and getting out of your own way is grasping grabbing a hold of as hard as you can to an abundance mindset and letting go of scarcity and starting to change the optic as you look at things. Employees see task to task, one thing at a time. When I'm done with this, my boss will give me something else. They do not seek opportunity. Entrepreneurs seek opportunities. They see opportunities where other people do not see opportunities exist. Are innovators, and they innovate and create opportunities where opportunities don't exist. That's how you get out of your own way. Mindset shift. How do I shift my mindset? Let's look at these core skills of an employee. These are all the things that make most people a great employee. These are all the things that your employer, your manager, your supervisor, your vice president, whoever it is that you report to, is looking for in you as an employee. Employees are team players, willing to take direction, pursue goals set by others. They're specialists in what they do. They adopt a company culture. They perform in structures environments, and they have a defined work schedule. Most people think that employees become entrepreneurs because they're incapable of taking direction from others. Now, remember in that list, what makes a great employee is willing to take directions from others. And the misconception is that if you're a bad employee because you cannot take direction from others, then you're going to become an entrepreneur because, again, the myth of I become my own boss. But let me share with you the single entrepreneur thing that made the biggest difference to me. Pursue goals set by others. I was at a point in my life where I did not want, and I was no longer comfortable allowing others to set goals for me. Entrepreneurs set their own goals. Entrepreneurs build outside the box. Entrepreneurs have innovative ideas. They want to create things. Entrepreneurs execute and implement on a totally different timeline. And that was the thing that moved me to entrepreneurship. I believed that I was capable of more, and I wanted to start setting my own goal. I wanted to set goals like, why can't I take a company from $30,000 to $1 million in 4 years? Why can't I maintain that company at $1.5, $1.7 million a year? Why not me? Why should I allow somebody else to tell me what my maximum potential is? Entrepreneurs want to reach potential. They see greater opportunity. They see greater potential in themselves, and they seek out those opportunities. All right. Now, let's talk about how the employee mindset differs from the entrepreneur mindset. Here are some of the core skills of an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are ambitious, self-motivated. They're strategic in the goals that they set. Entrepreneurs have a huge amount of resourcefulness. They're a generalist. So many times I get asked, how do I know how to do all of these things? Because as the entrepreneur, you're wearing everybody's hat. Self-directed learner, tolerance for risk, a dynamic work schedule. If you have no tolerance for risk, if you just cannot take chances, stop the video right here. The essence of being an entrepreneur is taking great risk with no promise of reward. Can you see how that is so fundamentally different from being an employee? Because when you're an employee and you take risks, the results is you're taking risk and you understand you might get fired for it. So you don't take those risks. You wait, you let other people make decisions for you. You let other people guide you and direct your learning. You let the other people tell you what to do. They set your work schedule. You just go to work. You show up when they tell you to be there. And that's okay. Then this is probably something that is going to prevent you from being a successful entrepreneur. And you probably should ask yourself if you're an entrepreneur and the idea of tolerance to risk is really starting to weigh on you. If that's the thing that keeps you up at night, if that's the thing that you and your spouse are constantly talking about, the amount of risk, then you probably should consider not being an entrepreneur and definitely not taking on employees. And you should consider using your skill that you're a specialist in and go back to work for somebody. The mistake is thinking that I'm going to manage the risk. I'm going to be more tolerant or less tolerant to the risk. I keep going backwards. I keep going back. All right. Tolerance to risk. Let me tell you a little bit about tolerance to risk. Sometimes when we're out there as entrepreneurs, we have to take risks and we have to share those risks. Or we have to communicate those risks we're taking with our spouses, our partners, our life partners, our family members. And sometimes they don't understand it. The challenge is trying to make sure that you're communicating in a way. And that was my challenge. That's always been my challenge. My challenge is sharing with my wife how to manage and understand her tolerance level to risk and my tolerance level to risk. So my spouse's tolerance level to risk, very low. My tolerance for risk, very high. I guess you can say that also comes from 11 and a half years active duty military service, 5 years as a police officer working traffic enforcement. My tolerance for risk, the way my brain works, my DNA, the neuroscience, the brain biology that's programmed into me allows me to be less susceptible to risk influencing my behavior. And my wife has a very low tolerance for risk. She's been working in the same job field her entire life. And sometimes we need to balance that. And I need to understand and bring it down a notch. And I help her to understand and meet me so that we're more in the middle. If you're having trouble with that, let me know. All right. The dynamic work schedule. Entrepreneurs are going to have a very dynamic work schedule. You're going to have to meet the needs of the company. The company does not care if it's Christmas. The company does not care if it's your kid's birthday. The company does not care if it's 4th of July weekend. The company and the needs of the company will always come first. These are the core skills of the entrepreneur. If I had to pick one thing on this list, or let's say two, give me two. If I had to pick two things on this list, the two things that drove me, that allows me to continue to be successful as an entrepreneur, scaling companies, built and sold my first company, built another company and started in 2017. It's going and thriving. I built another company and launched that company in 2022. Here we are, 3 companies later. Ambition and self-motivated. I have a great amount of ambition. I want to live up to my fullest potential. I constantly believe that I can do better tomorrow than I did today. I constantly believe I'm self-motivated to want to leave things better than the way I found them. I am a change agent. I try constantly look at things, and the single thing that should drive every entrepreneur crazy is when the question is, why do we do it like that? An entrepreneur mindset should be, why is that the way we do it? And we should be seeking and understanding, is this the best way to do it? Is this the best use of time? Does this get the desired outcome? That's what entrepreneurs are constantly doing. How do I deal with this mindset shift? The mindset shift is all about an employee's mindset. Your employer is responsible for your paycheck, benefits, and other job related expenses. You can plan on getting paid regularly. The entrepreneur mindset. Business owners are responsible for creating their own paycheck, retirement plan, pay taxes, insurance, vacation pay, etc. Entrepreneur mindset is totally different from employee mindset. Here's what I've learned in growing every business that I've had. Here's what I've learned when I talk to other business owners and entrepreneurs. Largest obstacle to growth is not going to be money. If you get your business going year 1, year 2, year 3, and you're not having a coach or a mentor of guiding you on financial growth to build your company on a good financial foundation, you're probably missing out, because money will be there. The money will be there, whether it's in revenue, whether it's in loans, whether it's in small business loans, whether it's lines of credit, doesn't matter. There will be money. The largest, the most difficult obstacle an entrepreneur will have to overcome will be their mindset. Individual mindset, releasing the scarcity mindset, embracing an abundance mindset, plenty of work for everybody. There's plenty of people out there who want to use your company and the resources and the tool and the service that you provide. They just don't know you yet. And that is the ability to grow your business, having an abundance mindset. Entrepreneurs have an abundance mindset. Entrepreneurs find a way. Just like during COVID, we found a way. We flipped our business from a 100% in-person business to a 100% virtual business. and in 12 weeks delivered over 250 martial arts classes. We promoted our students on time. We delivered the equipment they needed, and we were enrolling students during COVID virtually because we found a way. I did not allow limiting beliefs to get in the way and convince me, as most employees did. They waited for their employer to tell them what their job was going to do. Entrepreneurs pivoted. Entrepreneurs embraced an abundance mindset and found there's a way to get this done and thrive. Let go of the employee mindset, make that mindset shift. Final slide is we're going to talk a little bit about this last piece. The first four was self-leadership from a CEO. Create your culture by design. 5 pillars of creating your culture by design. This is what entrepreneurs do. This is what's different from the employee. The employee shows up and says, hey, what's the company culture? Tell me the company culture so I can embrace it, so I can live the company culture. The entrepreneur creates the company culture by design based on the moral values, the values of the company, the vision of the company, the mission of the company, and they do it 5 ways. Starts with believing abundantly, appreciate consistently, develop intentionally, listen actively, and live repeatedly. Which one do you want to be? You want to be building a culture by design? Or do you want to embrace a culture somebody else created for you? Identify and protect your priorities. As an entrepreneur, you're going to have to say no to things. It's not just saying no to, no, I'd love to go to the ball game with you on Saturday, but I can't. Not just saying, no, I can't go on that fishing trip. No, I can't go on vacation. It's also having the ability to say no to customers who are bringing you below the standard you want to be at, or customers that are trying to push you beyond your capability, who are trying without intent to set you up for failure. As an entrepreneur, sometimes we let ego get in the way. Protect your priorities. Know what you can do. Never overpromise. Always overdeliver. Don't just meet expectations, exceed expectations. Set and protect the priorities. Or are you going to make the priority of somebody else the floor of where you start, and your expectation is the new ceiling for yourself? The customer's expectation becomes the floor, and what you're actually going to do is exceed their expectation and create a new ceiling. Protect your priorities. Know your role. Live your role. Get out of the way. Let's go back to who are you aligning yourself with? Entrepreneurs align themselves with other people like them. Entrepreneurs find themselves speaking a totally different language. If you've experienced this, drop it in the chat. Raise your hand if you found yourself. Listen, in my experience, nobody is better at this than David Goggins. Nobody is better about talking about this specific thing than David Goggins. You need to understand the big difference between employees and entrepreneurs. Their people will start to become very uncomfortable with your success. So if you have that side hustle and that side hustle will start to take up more of your time, and you can't do the things you used to do with the people you used to be aligned with, you need to align yourself with other people who are trying to build a business, because the people who are just employees are going to bring you down. They're going to start telling you that you're doing more work than you have to. Why are you doing that? You already have a job. If you looked in the mirror and said, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Probably because you're not aligned with the right people. Get aligned with other people like you. Everyone is watching you as an entrepreneur. Everyone. Your customers are watching you, your employees are watching you, your family members are watching you, the people in your neighborhood are watching you, your vendors are watching you. Everybody is watching you because, according to the National Labor Bureau, 1 out of 5 companies will fail within the first year. 2 out of 5 companies will fail between month 18 and 24 within a year and a half to 2 years of business. That's after the ones that have already failed within the first year. Put those numbers together. 1 out of 5, another 1 out of 4. That's almost a 40% fail rate on businesses that start simply because entrepreneurs don't understand what it's going to take and they don't align themselves with the right people. This is the challenge. People are watching because when you become successful, the people who are uncomfortable with your success, they're going to drop off quickly. The people who are inspired by your success, they're going to engage you. They're going to follow you. They're going to want to know what it is that you're doing. Employee entrepreneur mindset. Because when you start embracing your entrepreneur mindset, when you start scaling your company, you're going to have to add employees. You're going to have to go back and ask yourself, what kind of employees do I want for my culture? What are the values? What is the knowledge, skill, and ability? Don't fall into the entrepreneurial fall of thinking everybody's going to be like you. They're not. They're going to be employees. Go back and visit what an employee mindset looks like. And as an entrepreneur, how am I going to attract people to my business who are going to contribute to my business? But how am I going to help them become more successful so I can help them reach their fullest potential by becoming part of the business? Just about 40 minutes live. If you have some questions, drop it. Here's the time for the Q&A. Let me see who's with me. All right, friends. I hope this has inspired you. If you're still with me, because we talked about all those employee things and you started saying, wait a second, I'm not willing to give those things up. The things on the employee list are too important to me, then you probably are shutting down your side business and you're not even thinking about being an entrepreneur anymore. Or you're an entrepreneur and you started realizing if some of this conversation has made you uncomfortable, there's 2 types of uncomfortable. There's uncomfortable, I don't want to do that. I want to go back to just being an employee. There's uncomfortable, I need to grow. I want to do more. I know I have more potential. I just don't know how to do it. I want to be more resourceful. I just don't know how to do it. Here's where a coach and a mentor comes in. A coach and a mentor is there to see around corners for you. A coach or a mentor is there to help you become more successful and see the pathway to consistency, allowing you to duplicate, taking duplication to scaling the business. And if you're struggling with this, everybody has done it. Everybody has hit that wall. And time for a coach or a mentor. I'd love to talk to you if you're in that uncomfortable, I want to do more, but I don't know how. Then I want to talk to you because I've been through. I'm managing payroll, managing fuel expenses, managing insurance, managing. It is not. It's not easy. And if you've never had those responsibilities before, a coach can help guide you through the process. If you want to jump on a call, all it is drop a comment, send me a direct message. If this is resonating with you because you're stuck with your employee mindset while you're trying to run and grow your business, we need to deconflict that list. We need to port over and replace some of those skills. And we need to get you an employee mindset out. And we need to get your entrepreneur mindset to grow and flourish. Most people are going to say it's not about the money. It's always about the money. Employees don't like talking about money. Entrepreneurs, they become so intimately familiar with the financials that you're going to find yourself in entrepreneurial circles where entrepreneurs talk about money. Even if they don't talk in dollars and cents, most entrepreneurs will talk in a conversation of percentages. They're going to use financial terms. This is normal. This is how entrepreneurs communicate. This is how they identify where they are in the marketplace. If you're struggling with those types of conversations, get a coach. A coach helps you with the tactical pieces of using your entrepreneur mindset. A mentor helps guide you through the process. Get a coach or a mentor, even if it's for a short period of time. Some people only need a coach just to help them through a short period of time, just to make that transition. Some of you are right there and you're teeter-tottering back and forth because nobody's sitting at the table telling you how to be a better entrepreneur. If you're still sitting at the table with employees, those employees are telling you about how all those things in the employee list affect them in what they do every single day. If you have questions for me, please drop them in the chat. I'd love to go through on the questions and answers. All right, let's see what else we've got. If you want to connect with me, if you want to jump on a call and just talk about whether or not your employee mindset is affecting your entrepreneurial mindset, you want to talk about leadership, you want to talk about super successful and scale and grow your business. I am passionate about helping you scale your business. All right, friends, that's my time today. Hop in the chat, send me a DM. I want to give you an opportunity to jump on a call, a free discovery call. We're just going to talk about where you are in business, how I can help you. And then I want to bring you in for 90 days, $3,000 for 90 days of coaching. You get direct contact with me for 90 days, weekly individual Zoom calls, weekly planning and growing your business, helping you that you want out of your business the way you want them on the timeline that works for you. Drop the comments. If you know somebody that needs to hear this, mention them in the comments. They can watch the replay.